satmar rebbe in the vayoel moshe is quoting actually from the Arvei Nachal. He explains this concept. What is Kedushas Eretz Yisrael? Is it the place on the globe? Then why is the earth taken away also Kadosh? And he says something which is, it's a very deep concept that is unique to Eretz Yisrael. He says that the Makayim of Eretz Yisrael, it's not the Gashmias of Eretz Yisrael, it's not the earth. It's what he calls the Merkas HaPnimi, the central point of the Gashmias of Eretz Yisrael. We know today certainly that anything in the world, all matter, its Pnimius is a certain level of energy. Everything in the Bria has some energy which keeps it in existence. Eretz Yisrael is not something you can touch. It's not something you could feel. It's not a Kedusha that you could point to on the globe. It's here and nowhere else. It's something that's conceptual. It's the energy of Eretz Yisrael. The satmar rebbe writes that when we find in Parshas Vayetze that Yaakov had Kfitzas Haderech, so Rashi tells us that the Har HaMoriah moved towards Yaakov Avinu so that he would sleep on Har HaMoriah. So the satmar rebbe says, we find when Yeshua stopped the sun. So it was a nes that the whole world knew of. By Kriyas Yamsuf, the whole world knew of the nes. What happened when Har HaMoriah traveled? Imagine, you look at a mountain and it starts rolling. That should be a nes, galui to everybody. Well, he says, Rashi says, it's a Gemara in Chulin, that when Yaakov slept on Har HaMoriah, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu folded whole Eretz Yisrael under Har HaMoriah, and he said, the land on which you're sleeping, so he folded whole Eretz Yisrael underneath. Wow, what happened to all the Knanim? Like, maybe they got squashed a little, or they were tight, but they must have been shocked to suddenly be folded under Har HaMoriah. So Chas v'Shalom, without Apikarasim, if the Rebbe Shalom wants, he could fold whole Eretz Yisrael under Har HaMoriah. But why don't we find that it was a pella to the people, such a miracle? We don't find it. So the satmar rebbe, because Eretz Yisrael is not the earth of Eretz Yisrael. It's not even the place on the globe. It's the certain energy. The energy which HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into Eretz Yisrael, that defines Eretz Yisrael. That central idea, the concept of Eretz Yisrael, the concept of a Beis HaMikdash. Every time we find a discussion of the Beis HaMikdash, we find the lashon of an apology. The Shlomo started, Ha'omnam yeshev elikim al haaretz. Could the Rebbe Shalom have a place to dwell in this world? Hashamayim u'shmei hashamayim lo yechal kalucha. We can't limit where the Rebbe Shalom is. To say that there's a Beis HaMikdash, that there's a Makim HaMikdash, that's to say not so much that there's a place in the physical sense, but that there's a concept of Eretz Yisrael, there's a concept of Beis HaMikdash, there's a certain energy there. The gush of Eretz Yisrael was not folded under Yaakov. The concept, to the degree that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in this world the concept of Eretz Yisrael, that was folded under the place where Yaakov slept. We find in Sefer Yeshua, Eretz Goshen. In Eretz Yisrael, there's a city, Goshen. Goshen was in Mitzrayim. This is up the Radak, that Al Pidrush. It's the same Goshen. It was a strip of Eretz Yisrael that moved to Mitzrayim and came back. Same things up the satmar rebbe. This energy that Eretz Yisrael has, this connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom that's unique to Eretz Yisrael, to the Beis HaMikdash, that was transferred to Mitzrayim for a while, then it was transferred back. It doesn't live not in the earth, not in the physical earth, not in the spot on the globe. Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu attached it to Eretz Yisrael. No one says differently. But what's there is more. It's a certain spiritual energy which Eretz Yisrael has, which the Beis HaMikdash has, which is nowhere else. Shlomo HaMelech came here to say, Jews for generations should daven towards Eretz Yisrael. It's not just a nice thing for covet of the Beis Hamikdash, daven facing the Beis Hamikdash. No. Yechaveines libai, a tefillah which can harness that kedusha, which is in Eretz Yisrael, a tefillah which can attach itself to that energy, which is in Eretz Yisrael, that's propelled to Shamayim. The whole basis of this tefillah was a request that the Rebbeinu Shalom answer the prayers of Klal Yisrael. You want your tefillah to be answered. Yechaveines libai, point yourself towards the kaisel. And even if you're in Brooklyn, you can daven towards the kaisel. Daven towards the Beis Hamikdash. We find a custom that Jews have to shuckle during davening. I know many eye doctors who complain that Jews wear glasses because they're too busy shuckling. They have all kinds of explanations.